This is an assessment of a German Steinway Model K. The piano is 1936 and has an amazingly perfect set of ivory keys. They're extremely good condition without any signs of lines in the middle of them. You'd hardly know they were ivory, except that they are, because normally ivory you can see the lines in the centre there where there's two parts. You can just about see them in this video. Has an original Steinway stool with a Steinway logo on it as well. Interesting to see this original price list which came with the piano as well. 1937 you can see there. You can see the Model K which is there, £110. The casework is in need of polishing, although it's not in incredibly bad condition. The top here you see the lid above the fall. It's got some marks on it, and generally I think a few hours could tidy up the case very nicely. We don't do French polish, strip and French polish black pianos. We use polyester instead, like a modern finish, like this piano next to it here, which is a Fouric, new Fouric. But it's really difficult to get French polish right with black. We do rosewood French polish a lot. Here's an example of a piano that we're halfway through French polishing. It's just been stained at the moment. The polish has got to be applied. Actually, I think this is natural wood. It's not been stained at all. It's just had, that is the natural colour of the piano, having prepared the surface. That's what it'll look like. Back to the Steinway. I've checked it for woodworm. Doesn't seem to be any woodworm, but there is a problem with it. And if you can hear that clicking sound on release. On probably about 15 of the notes has that clicking sound, and that we'll see what that is in a second. Now here you have inside the piano, the tapes are in very good condition. That's the return tapes here, but there is a clicking noise on several of the notes, and if you look down there, there's the culprit. That's a piece of what we call jack felt, cushion felt. You can see the cushion felt here behind the jack. If you look carefully here, there's the cushion felt, and on quite a few of them, that's been eaten by moth. That's the culprit there. We can see also on the hammer, you can see the evidence of moth there. So we're going to have to take the keys off, see if there's any moth there as well. There doesn't seem to be any on the top here, on the braiding cloth there, but there is definitely on the hammers, which doesn't really affect the piano that much, but the main problem is down here on the jacks. See, there's one missing there. That one you can see, just about see it behind the jack. That one's missing altogether. Well, just about see the red left, but you can see actually the moth eggs on the side there too. They may well have eaten the felt underneath, which is right underneath here. As the action, in back of the action, you can see there's not incredible amount of evidence on the back of the action of any moth, but the hammers are also quite worn. I think with the moth and the wear on the hammers, where they're quite flattened, you see, and this big flat area hitting the string makes quite a dull sound compared to what it should be, and they tend to go soft as well. So I would think new hammers would be a great idea. It'd be difficult to reface them like they are. Actually, behind the hammers, you can see the felt there's quite riddled with moth as well. Inside the piano, I can't see a loss of moth on the felt here, so fortunately it's been kept at bay. This just enjoyed eating the hammers and the jack felts. There's some moth here though, you can see that. They obviously like the white felt as well. Inside the bottom of the piano, the soundboard's in pretty good condition, just starting to open up a little bit, but the string's also in good condition, and again the felt here doesn't seem to be particularly damaged. Plenty of dirt and cobwebs. Been a nice haven for spiders here. Going back to the action a minute, again, this is the more modern type of Steinway compared to the very older Steinway actions uprights, which are an old-fashioned style. Fortunately, this is a modern style, so it's not going to be too complicated to work on. Name board behind the keys has also been eaten a lot by moth. Yeah, there's the underside of it. That needs replacing. Obviously not that significant, more cosmetic, but need to treat for moth as well to make sure the eggs are all disappeared, and also put some moth, something to avert the moths coming back. So taking the keys off, we can see unfortunately quite serious moth damage here. You can see on the centre rail here where they've eaten them practically through. Amazingly, the keys still look level because there's just about enough left, except for some of the sharps. That one there wouldn't have been level, but you can see tremendous evidence of moth there. On the front rail, they haven't devastated them quite so much, but they can see loads of eggs and of course dust. And the back rail, well, that's the best. But really, I think all the felts need changing. Now the felts under the keys, they survive reasonably well, but may have to change those as well. If we look at the felt here, that's survived reasonably well too, so that's encouraging. But there's so many eggs around that I think we're probably best to change them as well. Another thing that needs addressing is the echo. All tall German pianos tend to be a bit echoey, but this is more than most. Here's a similar height Bechstein, and much less echoey. And the Grotrian Steinway, much less echoey, slightly smaller piano. So in summary, we have a model K Steinways 1936, potentially really good piano. Nice rumbly sound, but really must be restored extensively. Mainly the moths is the biggest problem. The hammers really, I think we've got to change them, and there's a lot of adjustment to do generally. A very perfect keyboard, which is great. Thank you very much for listening.